What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Pod Scum. I'm your host, your bastard of ceremonies, Reckless Rexx Ruger. That, of course, is the Freddie Mercury puppet. We got another banger for you today. Another kick-ass episode. Gonna be a heavy one with a guy who fronts a band that I absolutely fucking love, the mighty Enforced. Nobody, in my opinion, right now doing it better or heavier amongst the young bands out there. And I'm 51 years old, so everyone's a fucking new man. They know how to fucking bring it. And obviously I know a little something about that, being the son of David Lee Roth. Search your feelings, look at the quaff, learn how to get the quaff right there. Not saying you can look this good, but you can probably look. Let me give myself a look since I got another front man coming in here, not to be outdone. He's here now. Let's get down to it. Rexx, shut the fuck up and start the interview. Let's get down to it. KNOX,
hey, what's up, man?
Lighten up already, man. A man after my own heart. After a long, hard day's work, you like a good cigarette, right?
Yeah, I'm zapped, dude.
Or maybe that's not a cigarette. Do you like anything else?
No. Just cigs and beer, man.
Not a weed guy, huh? Not a weed guy.
No, I get super paranoid.
Let me start out because you do extreme metal, man, and you are a smoker right now. Are you a guy that ascribes to any type of voice care, or are you a guy that's just blessed and can just get up there and fucking wail?
I mean, all I do is just yell at people. It's not like I'm doing. I'm not like. There's no like technique to it, so it's just yell as loud as you can. And just,
but you guys are still pretty early on in your career, though. So far, like no real glaring voice problems, no vocal cord issues, none of that bullshit.
No, if anything, it's gotten better because we've been touring a lot more. So like my voice is way stronger than it used to be.
Yeah.
Ironically enough, my brother texted me. He's like, "Yeah, I'm listening to you. I haven't listened to any of your albums in a while, so I'll check them out like from beginning to now."
Yeah.
And he was like, they're all pretty good, but like your voice has changed a lot. If you listen to, like A Leap Into the Dark, or then you listen to like Kill Grid or At the Walls, it's so much stronger now than it was back then.
And when you go back and listen to the shit, are you able to see that or hear that as well?
Immediately. It's just like, oh man, you sounded not good.
Well, like, I'm pretty sure your fans wouldn't cringe like that, though. I mean, we love the shit heavy and raw and dirty that.
Yeah.
So.
Well, totally. But like, I can tell. But it, like in Kill Grid, you can hear most of what you're hearing is like my throat, because I lost, like, after the first day of sessions, like I lost my voice. So it's all just kind of like this. Like you can hear that kind of underlying every lyric is just like this noise. And I don't have that. I don't have that now. And so it's just way stronger, way more confident, and way more, powerful, I guess.
And that just comes with time, like
I think so.
Else.
I mean, it's almost taken damn near 8 years, but it takes time.
Better late than never.
Yeah, for sure. I'm glad it happened.
And to chop it up and go back to your beginning, man, when you first get into this, decide that this is, or you get bit by the bug to do music, man, was there a specific album or an artist or a song that really got it jump started for you?
I gotta think, because I started being in bands and everything when I was like 13. So I was like, well, what the hell was I listening to back then? Honestly, probably, Cro-Mags, Age of Quarrel.
Yeah.
And Integrity, Systems Overload.
It's so crazy that both of my interviews in the first couple minutes, I did one right before you came on, man, with Sal. He's the singer for Sworn Enemy. He couldn't fucking talk enough about Age of Quarrel either.
That's one of the best albums of all time.
He said, as a matter of fact, I usually ask at the end, and I'll get to that with you or whatever, man, what his desert island pick would be, meaning if I'm dropping him on a fucking island with just one album. He started the episode talking it up. And he tied it in full circle. It would be the album he'd fucking essentially die on a fucking island with.
I probably feel the same way. Either that, and I know no one in Cro-Mags would say this, but I would probably die with Alpha Omega by Cro-Mags, the third LP. Oh my God. Like I love it. I love it so much. It is everything I want. And like from Chromax and also from other things, it's obviously that they took so many little pieces from like heavy metal and hair metal and stuff
Yeah, they
that
did.
it has the stuff I like, the other stuff I like, which is heavy metal and hair metal.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, this is perfect. It's the
so
greatest.
cool. It's so cool nowadays, though, because I'm 51 years old. It's so cool nowadays, man, that that the constraints of the music world have loosened up. Because I remember when I was a kid, if you were into the heaviest of the heavy, and someone found out that you were even remotely listening to hair metal or something that was pop, you would be ostracized and drummed out of the metal community if you weren't walking the walk all the time. It's so nice now that guys can come out, because Sal in my other interview was saying the same thing. Yeah, I loved hair metal. I loved Motley Crue. I loved all that shit growing up,
Yeah, because it rules. Like, it's undeniably cool. Like,
I mean, you used to be worried about getting your metal card fucking pulled for shit like that.
Yeah, and that shit's so stupid. Like,
yeah.
I've never, but I came up in the early 2000s going to like, underground hardcore shows and stuff like that, and it was like that then. Like,
Yeah.
if you like, someone saw you listening to Paramore, there'd be a problem.
Yeah. I'm glad those walls have come down in the rock world.
Who cares, man? Yeah, who cares? But yeah, like, I'll defend Def Leppard to the day I fucking die. That would be a Desert Island album. It would be.
Me too. Those guys were a big part of my childhood, man. They really mean a lot to me. I just went and saw them last year, man. And like the great thing about them is that they were Alice Cooper opened, and then Motley Crue was in the middle, and then Def Leppard songs are just made for a fucking giant arena.
They are. That's what
arena rock. That's what they fucking mean.
Yeah, it's incredible.
I mean, those guys, and they still sound great. I don't know, because I'm a layman. I'm not in a band. You always read all these things where, like, everyone nowadays seems like they're pulling out their phone, not really to record the moment for posterity, but everyone seems like they want to catch somebody now. You know what I mean? And you hear all these rumors about these guys aren't playing. They're using, I don't know the terms or whatever, but I hear backing tracks a lot, or these different smoke and mirror type tricks.
I know for a fact that Def Leppard are playing. Like,
yeah.
Have you ever watched it? I'm about to watch it. Honestly, my laptop is right behind my phone, and I have it queued up. The Def Leppard documentary.
What's it called?
I believe I dimmed the screen. Hold on.
Because I'm off work tomorrow too. I'm looking for something to watch fucking tonight too, man. And I wasn't even aware that there's been so many things in VH1 behind the music and so many things over the years put out about Def Leppard. But are you referring to like a fairly new documentary?
Rock of Ages. Well, no,
okay.
This is old, 1989.
Okay.
But like, yeah, all the behind the music stuff like is so cool. There's also Story of Def Leppard. But like that, I've watched interviews with like guitarists that have been in Def Leppard and been like, yeah, we're just gonna go in there and like, do a bunch of coke and like fuck a bunch of girls and like it'll be great. And then they get to practice and they're like, oh shit, like I gotta learn how to sing. I gotta be on my A game with guitar, and I have to do like a perfect stage performance.
Yeah.
Like they're not fucking around.
Yeah.
Like, which I love.
Yeah, those guys are masters of their crafts. Like
they're not going to put up. They're not going to put up with backing tracks. They're not going to do that.
Yeah, and like they were legendary, like perfectionists too. Like they would fucking take like years to put albums together, man. You know what I mean? Like that Hysteria album is pretty much like a fucking greatest hits album. It's
perfect.
It's a perfect album. Yeah, it is a perfect album. So, so for you as a metal frontman, is there one guy that you looked at as like, ever in your career is like, wow, that's what a front man should be right there? Might not even be like an extreme metal guy, but who's that guy for you?
Freddie Mercury.
There he is. I got the Freddie Mercury puppet, dude. and I even glued those teeth in myself. He's gonna be happy you said that.
I watch Queen live at Live Aid at least twice a month.
Yeah.
And then if I'm feeling sappy, I'll watch the Freddie Mercury Memorial concert that has all the other people, like filling in and stuff. They got James Hetfield, what's his name from Guns N' Roses.
Well, it's funny
Which
because the
is
Def Leppard guys have a.
insane.
It's funny because the Def Leppard guys have a great relationship with the Queen guys too.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
But yeah, like he was a perfect front man. Like
Yeah.
the perfect, like he could control a crowd so quickly and so easily.
Yeah.
And like I haven't seen anyone do that to that effect, like ever.
It's pretty.
So
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Like if he throws up an arm, dude, he's getting like 100,000
everyone's
people.
throwing up an arm.
Yeah. Yeah.
If I was there, I'd throw up an arm. Like I
Yeah.
feel like so like jazzed, like watching him, and I constantly try and watch it and be like, what is it? Like, what is he doing that I'm not doing? Granted, I'm
Charisma.
not fucking Freddie
Charisma,
Mercury.
I think.
It's charisma and it's confidence.
Yeah,
Like,
it is. It
it's
is.
just- he's like taunting you. He's blowing kisses at you. He loves
Yeah.
you. He hates you. He's putting you through the motions.
The gamut of emotions. He is.
Yeah, and you're just like, yeah, I can't do that.
Yeah.
I can't do that. I'm
And
just
you know
gonna be
what? It's a
angry at
funny
you.
thing, man. He may have been ostracized for it because people weren't coming out as much back then. But I almost think having that confidence, he almost benefited, I think, from being a fucking gay man. Because those guys just don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? They get up there and they're just like, woo, here I am. You know what I mean? I don't give a fuck, you know?
I mean, that might have something to do with it, but at the same time, it's just like him being closeted as he was, and then having that opportunity to kind of express himself
Yeah.
on stage probably made it that much better
He was comfortable in his skin. He was.
at
Yeah.
that moment. It
Yeah.
felt like it. So it's just like I love watching those because you can see it. You can see his confidence. So
Well-
I love that.
I love seeing the growth of what you guys are doing, man. I may have asked you this the first time that we chopped it up. That was like a year ago or whatever, man. But what's the process like when you guys as a band get together to create? Like, does someone come in with the lion's share of the ideas? Are you guys getting together and collaborating? Is it very democratic as far as the ideas go?
If someone has an idea, everyone will listen to it. But I know I have ideas, and I know that they're going to get shut down because I have very bad ideas. So I don't involve myself with any of the music because my brain doesn't work like Will's brain, and vice versa. So he does the lion's share of writing, but then he'll work and collaborate with Alex, our drummer, to flesh it out and to get it working. And then they'll basically just write some more, write something else, rewrite, use whatever we didn't use there, maybe put it somewhere else. So it's mostly Will and Alex.
And so
But
the lyrics is more your you.
That's all.
Like,
That's all me.
that's you. And
But
so
when it comes to recording, though, I'll have all the songs written out, and then everyone will hear them, and then they'll be like, "Hey, this portion, we were thinking it was going to be, like we'll put a solo for half of that, so don't sing there, and then the other part we just wanted the riff to kind of breathe. So you can use those lyrics, but you got to move them. But it's like, well, if I move them, then that kind of changes the whole flow or the whole structure of the entire thing. So should I just cut it out? And they're like, well, if it's important, you should keep it. So then I have to go back to the drawing board and rewrite everything to fit what they want, and then try it again.
And
So, in that respect, is very democratic, very back and forth. I'm down to change whatever I need to change to make the song better.
Right. So you're whatever serves the song the best.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, there's not. I remember there used to be a lot of ego involved in it, but at this point, it's just like no, because they know what they're doing, and so I just trust that they know what they're doing.
And then what are you like? I talk to people from bands on here all the time. Like, are you getting an influx of ideas throughout the day? I hear a lot of people say they get a lot of ideas and inspiration, at their day job or in their car. You get the creative people that go sequester themselves away and focus on writing, man. Like, like what's your individual process like?
I just listen to weird shit, and if I hear something that I find interesting or curious, I've got a little note in my phone. I just write that phrase down and keep it moving until I hear another one, and then just have a list of phrases that I can either try and find a common thread between all of them, as twisted and as fucked up or as like not like ridiculous as that may seem, and then try and write a bunch of songs to weave that thread of all of those phrases.
Yeah.
So it leads to really wild like jumps of logic, but I think it's entertaining. I think it's interesting. I mean, I think it makes it more interesting than rather just me being like, here's the 14th song about how I hate the government.
Right.
That doesn't, I don't think that serves anyone.
And so what is the impetus like for the lyrics? Like, where are you drawing the inspiration from? Like, you just made reference to like the government or whatever. Like, are you like a guy that watches the news, or like where do you pull ideas and inspiration from? Like,
no, I don't really watch the news. I watch a lot of geopolitical stuff.
Okay.
That kind of acts as geopolitical, but more so like geostrategists, like business dudes, talking about, certain climates, certain political climates in certain areas of the world, and how they interact with one another, and how those business relationships or economics are going to be affected by XYZ. And then if that happens, then this is what's going to happen to X, Y, A, B, C on these different parts of the planet. And so it's how the planet is ever moving and ever changing. I find that interesting.
Yeah.
So that kind of leads to a lot of like, not necessarily fuck the government, but it's just like, there's a lot of things going on every day.
Oh yeah.
Like, not even like dark, serious, like spooky, machinations, but it's just like, no, literally there's like 77 or 7.5 billion people on the planet. Things are going to change every day.
Daily. Yeah, sure.
The world you wake up in is not the one you fell asleep in. That's for sure.
Yeah. Well said. Yeah.
So you can hate whoever you want to hate, I guess. It sounds really exhausting and counterproductive, but the world's going to keep moving on with or without you. So it's kind of, I find it more interesting to kind of look at the world in that kind of way, that it's all interconnected, because it is now, and see those dynamics and see those changing relationships. And, something big is happening in Burma, or like, this portion of Africa is like finally has like a infrastructure or like a electrical grid that's actually reliable and can now power a large portion of the area and all that stuff. Like, that's the stuff I'm interested in.
You feel like
that's rambling. I'm sorry.
No, that's all right. You feel it's listen. If someone taps into this and they're a fan of what you do, man, I think getting inside your head and how you create is going to be super interesting.
Cool.
And so, do you think that in some respects, enforced albums are? I kind of have this theory that almost all albums are in some way conceptual or concept albums. I think there's an arrangement. I think there's a cohesion. I think it was especially the way albums were meant to be listened to back in the day. Like, you wouldn't put an album like Pink Floyd The Wall on and jump around different tracks. You'd go on the whole journey. Do you feel like enforced albums to an extent are conceptual in nature? Like, you're telling a story.
In the sense that we really take track sequencing super serious.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that changes, that either decreases or improves the flow of the album.
Yeah.
Based on what song is after the next one. And every time you pick one, that lowers the pool of which songs you can pick from. So it's like, well, so you kind of like gamble and shuffle and try and change it around a bunch to hear it completely differently.
Right.
And it's hard. It's something that we do, like, I wouldn't say argue, but we do, like, we take it super seriously. So everyone has their own different ideas of how it should sound.
I think it's a criminally underrated aspect. Like, I think people think about
it's a fucking art form, and it's a collaborative art form in the highest regard. It's really difficult to do. And it gets pretty heated, but like, we've been really lucky and really fortunate with the last two LPs. Like, I think they flow super well.
Yeah. Now, and I'm glad you said it, because you've got an EP coming out right now, but the last couple offerings have been full-length albums, though. Like, why? Why an EP? Is it just like the changing of the times? Like, people just aren't paying as much attention? Do you think a full-length album is not the way to go these days, or?
No, not at all. So we never really stopped writing. So when we were recording War Remains, we'd still have band practice and we'd still have writing practice.
Okay.
So we already had other songs in the fire by the time that even came out.
Okay.
So like by the time I was doing press for War Remains, it was like, yeah, we already have like half the album done for the next one, for the next LP. And once we, you know, did all the touring and stuff last year and most of this year, we're like, we have no time to put that LP out. So let's put out an EP because we wanted to get that album out this year, but we're not going to be able to. So let's put something out. And we talked to Century about it, and they were like, yeah, you want to put more out? Okay.
Yeah.
Like, okay, cool. Like, cool. We just like, we have all these songs, and I think we've got too many for the LP. So let's take some from the LP and get those recorded, and that'll be an EP, and we can throw on some covers and whatnot and make it fun.
Is there pressure when you're a young band, man, to keep the fucking like the output fucking coming because there is so much out there on the streaming platforms that, you know, does it weigh in the back of your mind like, fuck, there's like, you know, someone told me there's like 30 to 50,000 new songs every day on these streaming platforms. You know, do you think in the back of your mind like, got to stay out there, got to stay current, got to stay on people's minds?
Nope.
No.
That's
probably healthy.
It never occurs to me.
That's
like,
probably good.
It doesn't, like, I'm aware of that, but there's nothing I can do to change that. Like,
right.
Those other artists are going to continue being artists and doing their thing.
Right.
And like, does it really affect me that much? Like,
right.
No.
As far as young metal bands out there, though, man, you guys do, and you know, I try to keep my ear to the pavement. It helps doing this podcast. You guys do have a hell of a fucking buzz around you, though, man. Like as far as being like one of those bands at the forefront of what you know, for lack of a better word, I know you guys have been at this for a while, man. But you know, I think the metal world would still like look at you as a fairly newer band. You know what I mean? But you guys have a lot of heat and a lot of buzz on you, though.
Yeah, because like I wouldn't call us like a big. What's a good way to put this? I don't know if this is a good way to put it or not, but like a big streaming band.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the people who listen to our music are the people who go to shows and they buy the records and they listen to the records. They're physical listeners. So like while those, you know, I guess those numbers matter in some regard in terms of streaming listeners, I don't think they matter as much in regard to physical sales,
right?
And how well your record is actually doing, because if you got 100,000 streams and 2 album sales, you got nothing. Like,
right.
You're really up shit's creek, but everyone knows your name.
Yeah.
Like, so
right.
Well, I don't want that.
Yeah.
I don't want to go to a Starbucks or something like that and everyone knows who I am and they all know the band and they all know the albums, but no one owns it. And you're just like, okay, strange, cool. Not even a T-shirt.
Yeah.
Like,
and we're kind of in that time.
No, just heard it.
And we're kind of in that time now too, like where you have to like, you know, like I know we're doing a podcast interview like right now. This is kind of an example of that, man. But, you know, when you're a band, and maybe this will benefit, you know, other people that are, that are young or in like newer bands too, man. You know, is there that pressure now because it has been like a tool that almost needs to be utilized nowadays, where like you almost have to have like a social media presence nowadays. All these bands have a fucking Twitter or an Instagram or a Facebook, and even me, I mean, you know, I have a Facebook and an Instagram, and I do the podcast or whatever. But even me, being at the age that I'm at, I'm probably a little more out of the loop than a lot of people as far as like having like accounts across the board and every fucking goddamn thing that there is out there, man. But do you feel that pressure? Like, God, we got to be playing the social media game somewhat too.
We were told to do that, and we said we'll try, and we didn't, and then we kind of found our own way of doing it.
Yeah.
Especially when on tour, especially if we found something funny or really annoying.
Yeah.
We would do something. We'll post like some extra stuff other than, you know, like show flyers and, you know, album releases and whatnot, or like music videos will kind of pop in every now and then, but like I really don't see the purpose in that. It's after a while, it just becomes kind of annoying if
Yeah.
I'm constantly seeing a band like, I don't know, being friends. I don't care.
Yeah.
I know
Yeah.
that's kind of fucked up.
Yeah. Well, because it's almost like you got to feel like, look, here we are, we're a band, and we have to force ourselves down your throat daily with some type of content, you know?
So you keep remembering me, but it's just like,
Yeah.
dude, like at the end of the day, like if you wrote some killer fucking tracks, I don't think you'd have to do that. But like,
Yeah.
maybe I'm wrong. I don't know for sure. Like,
Well, but at least you're not using social media like U2 did a few years back when we had to have their album on
No.
our devices.
no,
It
I
was
was in college during that, and I remember that
forced
specifically. But
upon us.
I didn't have a smartphone until like maybe like 2015.
Yeah.
So I was a tried and true Motorola Razr flip phone.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I was
So
too.
like the greatest phone ever.
I went
So-
kicking and screaming. I went kicking and screaming to the touch tone stuff. I love that fucking flip phone.
It was sick. It had
Yeah.
such a satisfying snap.
Yeah. I loved it.
But what is it? So like when all that happened, I was still living in the dark ages, so it didn't happen to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Thank
it's just
God.
like, yeah, no free YouTube for me. Bummer.
Yeah. And then it was even almost kind of fucking hard. Like, I think if I remember right, there was like a grace period where you couldn't even get the goddamn thing off your device, man. It was almost like you're going to fucking either fucking ignore this or you're going to fucking listen to it, but it isn't just going to go away.
They had to retroactively like make it able to be taken away.
Yeah.
Ironically, it didn't occur to them that no one wanted it.
How presumptuous though. Like, just, I mean,
You just assumed everyone.
Yeah.
Everyone
Yeah.
wanted to. No, not everyone.
Hey, I'm Bono. I've got something to say, and the world needs to hear it, whether you want to or not.
No, we don't.
And so, you correct me if I'm wrong, but you guys just recently had a member change too, correct?
Yeah. Zach left the band, and we got our friend Josh Francisco to come aboard.
And so, how's that transition been?
Fine so far.
Yeah.
I mean, we haven't. We're gearing up to go to Europe, and so we have a fill-in guitarist for that. He's in this band from DC called Desolus, which are pretty sick. Check them out.
Okay.
And so he's filling in for Europe, but then after that, Josh is on board 100%. He can't do the European tour. It's just too quick in advance.
Okay.
So he was just like, I'm down to do it, but I can't do that one thing. So we're like, cool, let's get somebody else.
And so he's somebody that you had previously known and have chemistry with, then I'm assuming, right?
Yeah, he Josh filled in for Zach when we were on the Venom Inc. tour with Acid Witch. And wow, I feel really bad because I forgot who else. Anyway, he filled in for about 2 weeks. And then he flew home, Zach flew in, and we kept doing the rest of the tour. But he had never really been on a tour like that before.
Yeah.
So he got the crash course of it. Like our van kept breaking down. We had to change different vans, and those vans would break down. Then we changed vans again. Yeah. And we don't get mad about stuff like that. We're just like, okay, let's just fix the problem.
Right.
And he thought it was insane that we were all so cool about it.
Well,
he's like, dude, I've been in vans with bands that like, when something happens in the van, everyone starts kicking and screaming and like calling their parents and shit. I was like, I'm not gonna do that. I'm just gonna
got a good attitude about it. It's part of the game.
I'm just gonna. Yeah, it's part of the what you sign up for. Like,
yeah,
you got to figure that out.
And so, like, without speaking too much, obviously, on Zach's behalf, or divulging anything you don't want to divulge, though. But the split was ultimately amicable.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
He's got stuff going on that he needs to take care of, and we all understand that. And it's been mounting for a while to the point where he's just like, dude, I can't commit any time to this at all.
Yeah.
And we're like, well, that sucks.
Yeah.
That really sucks. Because he's our friend. But like, I mean, me being 34 and being the oldest person in the band, everyone's kind of in that transition from their late 20s to their early 30s. And life changes fast.
Sure.
Or that like at that titular moment.
Yeah.
So like, I understand if priorities change. I mean, the fact that I'm still doing the same thing that I've been doing since I was 13 isn't. I don't know if that's healthy or not, but he sees it a completely different way than I do, and that I respect that.
Well, it just happened. It just hasn't happened to change for you yet. But we could sit down and have this conversation in 5 years, and you could look back and say, "Holy shit, everything's fucking different in my life."
Yeah, I'll be doing it from under a bridge. And, and it's going to be a really bad conversation.
Yeah.
But no, it's God bless. And he and Alex are in another band, Destruct, that they don't play as often or as like long stretches as Enforce. And that works for his schedule because that's what he can do. So like maybe 2 or 3 shows every 2 or 3 months, and then like do like a week long tour, and that's it for the year. Kind of thing. Not you got to do like maybe 3 to 4 months of shit every year.
Right.
And he's like, I can't do that. Like that's so much, and it is like in thinking about it and seeing it from his perspective, it is a lot.
Yeah.
Like I know some bands like 200 stab wounds. I don't know how they do it. I truly don't understand how they do it. They just live on the road pretty much. Like that's hard. That's really hard.
Very.
Them and like Frozen Soul, they're the same way. It's just like y'all just don't stop. Like it's crazy.
And to a certain extent, that nomadic existence has to fucking wear thin at some point, though. Too, it's got to be hard.
You're either built for it or you're not.
Right.
And like, it kind of comes in waves where like the first week always sucks. The second week gets better. The third week, you're like, man, I really want to go home. Fourth week is like, fuck it, I'm here for life.
Yeah.
And then you're just ready. You could easily do another 2 months.
Yeah.
But like, that's how I feel. I don't think most people feel that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, once I get over that hill of like regret and doubt, then I'm like, I'm broke. Let's do it. Let's keep going. I don't care about anything anymore. my health, my safety. I just want to play the next gig.
Yeah.
Like I just want to get to the next place and do it all over again because I'm loving it.
Well, and obviously you guys are on, a certain trajectory too. You know what I mean? Like, depending on how fast that trajectory goes up or whatever, man. But I would certainly say, man, that out of bands that are, young bands at the forefront of like the extreme metal world, you guys are certainly on an upward trajectory, as far as like, music media and stuff goes. You know what I mean? Like you guys are one of those bands that, for all intents and purposes are getting a lot of accolades and a lot of attention.
Yeah. And that alone is that's crazy.
Yeah.
I hate to be so lackadaisical about it, but it's honestly how I feel about it. It's just like, damn, never thought that would happen. And then just the mind keeps going. Like, but it's awesome. Like it truly is it's humbling. It's very humbling that that it's connecting with so many people and it's like hitting so many people that hard. That's really cool. I hate to keep going back, but like, when I was a kid, like I never thought that I would be doing this. I wanted to, but I'd never. No, like hardcore band that plays basements is like, one day I'm gonna go on tour with Obituary, okay?
Right.
And this is like you sound insane.
Yeah,
but it happened. So that's
I
cool.
think these names. I always think these names come up for a fucking reason in these episodes too, man. I'm glad you brought Obituary up, man, because they're about to be coming off their tour, and I was emailing with John Tardy, who, in my opinion, the most legendary of death metal vocalists of all time, and I'm trying to get him on here. Yeah, in my mind, I know there's a lot of guys who do the death metal vocals. I'm not going to call them Cookie Monster vocals or any of that stuff that other people say, man. But it does start to kind of. You do hear a lot of them where they mirror, the same sound. But John Tardy is almost in a world of his own.
Yeah,
there's an anguish, and a desperation and a fucking like a torturedness in his vocals.
Yeah, and he's also been consistent for over 30 years.
Yeah,
like 40 years.
Yeah,
like
it's crazy.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, it is.
And he's like. Still, he's not some jaded jerk.
Yeah, nicest guy.
I don't understand it.
Yeah.
Like, if I was put in his position, or like Enforced became something even close to being what a fucking obituary is,
Yeah.
I would be the most crippled prick about everything. and just because I know that I can be a frustrating person to be around, and he just isn't.
Yeah.
It's just a
great
really
guy. Yeah. All of them
very
are.
down to earth. Yeah, they're all very down to earth. I love them to death.
And now you guys have a great band name, man. I was just talking about this with my previous guest. Who comes up with the name Enforced? And I have to think, in the pantheon of great metal names, I am shocked that Enforced was not taken by somebody else.
I think that's kind of one of the things that we were thinking about. Really, It's just like, well, why isn't that a thing? Like, how has that not been taken yet?
Yeah.
And it's very simple. It's you've got Exporter, Excel, like you've got a lot of good E bands.
Yeah.
But not that many. Like,
is that where you guys were in your mindset, that it was going to begin with an E? Is that something you guys were stuck on?
No, we
Okay.
had these. Everyone had brought their own list of band names, and everyone fought like crazy about band names forever. And then I think we all just came together. It's like, let's just pick the most easy one.
Yeah.
Like the most simple one out of all of them that still has like an oomph to it. Because like just by saying Enforce, like you have to go force, like you have to push.
Yeah.
So like I don't know, that stuck out to me. So I think we were all just like, yeah, let's just pick the basic one. Like
one of those good names. It's one of those good names
that
you can yell in a guttural way too.
It's just a good basic name. Like it doesn't.
Now, so I'm assuming that you came with your own list, man, and I'm sure your bandmates would have a sense of humor about this. What was one of the ones that you may have had on your list that you can look back on now and say, God, that was awful?
That was like 7 years ago. I no longer have that list. I can't imagine what was on it. Probably very, very.
So you can't remember any of the bad ones?
No.
You remember any of your? How about your bandmates? You remember any bad ones from your bandmates?
No, because it got in such a tizzy that when like when we picked one, I was like, cool, done. Got red.
Yeah.
Like, I never have to think about any of this ever again.
Yeah.
Until right now.
Yeah.
I don't.
Strong name, strong fucking font on the albums. You know what I mean? Like it just, it jumps out at you and it fucking works and it's there and it's in your face and it's a fun word to fucking say.
I think so. I mean, we get confused with Enforcer a lot. The
I've had those guys on
metal bands. Yeah. We get confused with them a lot. We've had people like.
They're very different from what you do, though. Very.
Well, yeah, of course, but like
it's a little more power metal what they do.
Yeah, and like since in the early days, like definitely around Kill Grid, like everyone was getting confused us with them a lot.
Yeah.
And so some people, very few, bought our merch thinking that they were buying Enforcer merch until they opened it and actually saw it and like, wait, what the hell is this?
Yeah.
And then emails is like, no, we thought this was Enforcer merch. It's like, dog, you can't read.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
There's a different an R and a D is two completely different things.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Enforcer is still out there enforcing it. We've already enforced it. Past tense.
Yeah. It's past tense.
Yeah.
It's already been done.
Yeah, it's already been done. Yeah, we've already enforced it. It's been there. We've been there, done it, and we're leaving now.
So silly. I remember back in the day as a joke, like pre-Kill Grid and stuff like that, or like pre-post, just around Kill Grid, I guess, when all that stuff started happening, we kept getting confused with one another. That we were just like, we should just start fake beef with them, for no reason, just because it gets confused all the time. Meanwhile, I'm thinking like that they probably don't have that problem.
No,
maybe they do. I don't think so.
Well, I'm pretty sure that they're European, man, so they might be a little more like philosophical or a little more laid back. Like about the whole like like being like uptight and like fucking really hot wired about it.
Yeah, and we're not, but it's like it would be funny to just make something out of nothing, but I was like, well, what would that lead to? And they're like, I don't know.
Yeah, I think it might lead to more confusion because then it'll just be like enforced versus enforcer,
And then like, yeah, and then all these like comments and stuff would just have this enforce.
Yeah.
Like, and everyone's like, I don't even know what I'm talking about anymore.
Now, this is a very subjective question, man. But for you, man, who would and they don't just got to be extreme metal bands, just any bands that really meant a lot to you, man. Who would be your Mount Rushmore of your all-time fucking favorite musical acts?
Me personally?
You personally, yep.
Swans would be up there.
Okay.
Brian Eno.
Okay.
Randy Newman. Man. Fucking Sepultura, probably.
Oh, I like that.
Not probably. Not probably. And I'm trying to think of honestly, probably like Terror or Hatebreed or Madball. That's a try. I can't pick one of those.
Yeah, that's
one
tough.
of those three. One of those three.
Obviously, obviously, what Knox is trying to say is, man, he wants his Mount Rushmore to have more fucking faces on it.
Yeah, it can be more.
He can't just do fucking 4.
No.
But
yeah, like, I mean, Terror, Hatebreed, Madball, they were so informative when I was a kid.
Yeah,
and
huge.
like getting into hard music or like heavy music and underground hardcore and stuff like that. And I mean, Chromax too. I mean, fucking Minor Threat and Bad Brains. Like, Jesus, you can't pick one.
Scrap that question. Yeah, that was a bad one.
No, it's fine. But I should start with like a hardcore band, and then move into like a metal band, like Sepultura. Because I remember a friend when I was in middle school. I was in 6th grade. He showed me Roots right when Roots came out, because he was into it, and he was into Sepultura as a child, and I was starting my hardcore phase, so I was like, this sounds like Korn, fuck that.
Yeah.
And I was being a total prick about it. But no, like Sepultura, like Chaos ID and fucking Arise and Beneath the Remains, like those are iconic. Those are like amazing, impeccable albums. So, and then, like, I think Randy Newman's like one of the best singer-songwriters of all time.
Yeah.
He can make you laugh, he can make you cry. And he does it like so easily that he can, I don't know, he just sparks something inside me. It's like, Jesus, man, like you have a way with words that can take you and break you.
Evoke something. Yeah.
Oh, for sure. And then,
yeah.
And then Brian Eno and Swans, like, can say so much without either saying anything at all or saying extremely little. And then just creating a huge, massive granite wall of sound that you have to kind of overcome. Like, and that gets the mind working. That makes my brain start to move. So
if you're going to sit down
about everything.
If you're going to sit down and listen to music from a fan standpoint, like you're putting around the house or you're doing something and you have music on, are there new bands out there that you're discovering that excite you, or do you tend to kind of fall back and kind of like listen to your old staples and your old favorites?
It depends. I mean, I kind of am that crotchety old man that is like, I like what I like.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. And especially if I'm doing something around the house, I kind of want to put something in the back that I don't necessarily have to pay attention to because I know it so well. Right. I just want to hear something.
Right.
But there are a couple newer bands, ironically all from Richmond, that I've been listening to almost nonstop. Except for that new Blood Incantation record is fucking fantastic.
Amazing. Yeah. Yeah. I'm working on getting somebody from Blood Incantation on here too, man. Yeah, and really attacking extreme metal music, man, from a different, interesting angle too.
Yeah, and the fact that like a band like Blood Incantation does like a collaboration track with Tangerine Dream, you're just like,
yeah.
Like on paper, that doesn't make any sense, but you listen to it, and you're like,
yeah, you get it. Yeah,
you made it work.
Yeah.
Like, it's
interesting guys. Yeah.
But there's this band Copperhead. I know that was like an old hard rock band, but there's a band from here called Copperhead that I wouldn't specifically say if you're a fan of Tool you'll love it, but they're so hard. They're so aggressive in such an angular way. They just put out a new record that you can find. It's called Medicina.
Okay.
And it'll blow your mind. And it came out the same day as Blood Incantation's record. So like that was a hard day. Just like, good God, there's so much shit going out.
I mean, but you're making it sound like these guys are heavy in a different way, though, not extreme metal.
I would say they're extreme in the dynamics of like how they propose to be heavy or to like. I think it's challenging to like the average listener, and I find it like super interesting because they'll like slowly over minutes and minutes and minutes of just playing a regular song. You don't even realize how much tension has been built, and then it'll just stop.
Yeah.
And be kind of ambient for a second, and then just return to what it already was.
Drop the fucking hammer right on
but
you.
But it drops the hammer that has been slowly bashing you over the head for minutes, and you didn't realize how much you were actually like taking in until they take it away for a second.
Yeah, I'm excited to check that out.
It's great. It's really great. I'll message you the link to it.
Well, because when you said fucking Tool, I was like, okay, man, like you're talking heavy coming from a different fucking angle, though. You know?
Yeah, it's like the two guys who write all of it, David Leonard and Jordan Fate, are close friends of mine, but like they've done something that I never thought that they would be capable of doing.
Well, because when I was young, like I used to
shocking.
Back when I was young, and maybe you can relate to this too. Like I used to equate, like when I was a teenager, man, we were always trying to find like the next heaviest, the next most extreme. Oh, look, I found this is more brutal. This is more brutal than what we just found last week or whatever. And I used to equate heavy with fast and incomprehensible, you know what I mean? But then you realize, man, that like fucking somebody like fucking Crowbar or somebody that's like
is the heaviest goddamn band on the world.
Like High on Fire. It's just heavy. Yeah. Boom. Just
Crowbar's the heaviest band in the world. End of discussion.
Yeah. And they're just, but it's a slow, it just envelops you type heavy. It's not blistering, pounding you upside the head, but you just realize like, all the riffs are just thick. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's just chunky and and some of Kirk's lyrics are just so fucking sad.
Yeah.
And you're just like, that hits you hard. It is hard music.
Yeah. And I'm glad you said that they're the heaviest band in the world, because I've seen a couple of guys that, I've seen this on a couple of different shows, but there's a couple of guys that are in a hardcore band that just recently did like a list, and they kind of did like this bracket, and then we keep going through until we get to the end. And Crowbar was, in fact, the band that they deemed the heaviest band.
I think that's the Hardlore guys.
Yeah, the Hardlore guys. Yep. Bo Looters and the other guy that. And oddly enough, it came down to them. And I think Crowbar and Obituary. Oddly enough.
Yeah, totally. And like, there's a good argument for both.
Yeah, there's a good argument for both, man. But yeah, as much as I love Obituary, though, I've
just equated. It's like Crowbar. I've just made a decision. Like Crowbar's the heaviest band. Just leave it alone. Like
Yeah. But then I listened to that new High on Fire album, and I realized what Matt Pike and the boys are doing, though, is heavy in its own way too. Very heavy, just extremely heavy. But you start to evolve in your musical taste, and you start to think, God, just blistering speed and blast beats is not necessarily the epitome of heavy all the time.
Yeah, because if you listen to it enough, it just becomes rote. You're just like, well, like, yeah, I've heard that. I've heard a ton of bands do that, but like,
right.
Does that make you the heaviest? Like, well, I guess all of you are the heaviest then. So
right. Anybody?
You have to put your own like twist or like spin. I mean, like Full of Hell is fucking heaviest. Jesus.
Yeah.
But like, God, and they're like in a league of their own as well. Shit. They're incredible.
But then in a lot of ways, you could look at some of those old Tool. But then again, you could look at some of those old Tool albums, and you could say, God, Tool is heavy in a different way too.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. No, I agree with that.
I mean, shit. Like, I mean, for me, I could put on Alice in Chains' Dirt and find that heavy. You know what I mean? That's a heavy fucking album. Yeah,
it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's another great one. Jar of
It's
Flags.
it's an emotionally heavy album, you know?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. Like you're definitely taking on a trip.
Yeah. Okay. So what would be your, okay. So, you know, I brought it up subliminally early on in the interview, but what would your Desert Island album be? Do you have a definitive answer on that?
Just one album.
I guess, you know, I guess because we're hitting it off so well or whatever, man. And, you know, you've done the show a couple times, man. Maybe I'd give you an artist's whole discography, maybe. But I mean,
too.
yeah. Is there an artist that you particularly want to hear on this Desert Island?
I mean, I'm trying to think of what I would have to do on the island.
Well,
Like,
I
have to build a shelter. I have to find food. I have to
ultimately, and I guess ultimately, man, I don't know that you'd want to be in the same mood all the time. You might want something that takes you on that gamut of emotions. You know, I mean, you know, would you just want? I mean, would you just want heavy all the fucking time? I mean, you know,
no, I would get sick of that really quickly.
Yeah. I mean, with all due respect to what you do or whatever, man, and I love what you do, man, but I wouldn't want to. I wouldn't want to hear enforced style music all the time. You know,
I wouldn't at all. So that would have to be something that I find interesting that I haven't figured out and that I'd need a lot of time with to appreciate.
Yeah, a lot of nuances at play there. Like somebody, oddly enough, that album came. Oddly enough, that album, fucking Dirt, came up, and that was someone's pick, I think, last week. And I thought that is a great pick. You know, what I mean, that is a great pick because you do have like, you know, your heavy shit, but then you've got your like Rain When I Die and Rooster and Down in a Hole. You've got those kind of songs too. You know,
but then I also need like the joy.
You do need some joy. Yeah, there's not a lot of joy on that album.
if you give me the grace of an entire discography, I'll probably pick ZZ Top.
Oh, okay.
Because they've got some crooner songs.
Yeah.
They got, you know, some sad songs. They've got Beer Drinkers Hellraisers, one of the greatest songs ever written by a drunk man.
Yeah. Like, I mean, if you can find beer on this desert island, more power to you. But I mean,
oh my God, I'm putting it on.
Yeah.
And like,
I mean, you may be cracking open coconuts and drinking coconut water, but at least you'll be drinking it to ZZ Top.
Yeah, and that kind of fits. That kind of sounds like something drinking coconut, drinking water out of a coconut.
It fits.
On a beach, listen to ZZ Top, and that sounds ideal.
Yeah.
So I think ZZ Top.
Not a bad way to die. Not a bad way to die.
I can do anything with ZZ Top.
Okay, now someone just recently suggested this, and I'm entering it in as a segment. Just tried it out on my last one, man. So what if we did a rock swap? And this might offend people, man, but if we could have a dead rock star back, and we could give one to God and get one back, man, who would we want back, and who would we fucking freely surrender?
That's difficult.
Now, on my last episode, I will say, man, that again, shout out to Sal from Sworn Enemy. He wanted Dimebag back and said we could definitely take fucking Harry Styles. But that's because he would be a good sacrifice. That's because he had a connection, because he also sometimes would work in New York City as arena security. And he said that he was up in the 200 sections, and those people were paying over $1,200 for a Harry Styles ticket up in the nosebleed. So that guy does deserve to fucking be handed over and we get Dimebag back.
He's a good sacrifice for sure.
Yeah. I brought up Justin Bieber as an idea, but then he said, you know, hasn't Justin Bieber suffered enough with the Diddy stuff?
Yeah, he's fine. As fine can be, I guess. I'll do that. I'll say, but like, who would I want back? That would they come back at the age that they left?
Yeah,
or would they have never died?
Yeah, maybe never died. Yeah, I think that would be better.
That's harder because it's like, well, who would have aged gracefully?
Good point. I'm glad you helped me work the kinks out of this fucking segment. This helps. This is therapeutic for me.
I love like this or that, what ifs or stuff like that, because there's a lot of like nuance and factors.
All right, so maybe we bring this guy. All right, so maybe we bring this artist back in the fucking prime of their career, and we can just kind of maybe leave him there.
And he's just encased in stone. And he's always 27.
Yes, so yeah. Why not? He's encased. He's like Encino Man. We just bring him back, and he's just.
And he can never die.
Yeah. No, I guess it'd have to be for selfish
People are gonna
reasons, man. Like just a dead rock star that you would want back walking this earth again.
Okay,
you know?
so if he came back as he left, I think I get both. Because if I brought Kurt Cobain back, Foo Fighters would probably never be a thing.
Yeah.
And then Dave Grohl would never have been a thing. Or not to the extent that he is now. And so he wouldn't pop up in every single documentary being like, this is the best band ever.
Yeah.
And then, but then he'd still be suicidal, so he might off himself again. So that I would win.
Right. So all right. So what you're basically saying is that we'd want a fucking like a Kurt Cobain back with a healthy mentality and a healthy mindset, man. His mental health issues would have to be, and his addiction issues would have to be.
No, they would stay. They would,
yeah,
because that's entrenched into him.
Yeah.
So we'd still get the man, what a legend, but we wouldn't have all the Dave Grohl stuff from the past 30 years.
Right.
And that the newly revived Cobain might kill himself again.
Yeah.
So,
but I'm getting the sense that you really want Kurt Cobain back. You were a Nirvana guy then.
I would be curious. I'd be more curious to see what he would have done over the next 30 years than what Dave Grohl did for the next 30 years.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. Yeah,
and it may have just been
more interesting music. No, I mean, no offense to what Dave Grohl's done with the Foo Fighters, man, but it is just arena rock and roll.
It's fine, and like it's cool that he's having fun. Good for him. But like,
he's everybody's buddy.
Yeah, and like Abe Lincoln once said, if you're a friend to everyone, you're a friend to no one.
Right.
So
good point.
Something to consider.
Yeah. Good point.
He can't be all that. He can't be all that great if he's everyone's friend.
Yeah.
So I would pick Kurt Cobain because I'd be interested to see, him like year 15 into like what would the Nirvana post 9/11 LP sound like? Like I don't know. Like I have no idea.
I would be eager to hear it, man. I mean, obviously a prolific and ridiculously great songwriter.
Yeah, for sure. So I'd be
no question about it. And now, so who's the fucking sacrifice then? Who's the living sacrifice?
Oh, I thought it was Harry Styles. We picked that.
Wow, 2 votes in the same day for Harry Styles. What is it? So obviously, man, fucking Knox is not a fucking One Direction guy.
No, I can live without it. For sure.
You can live without him. Yeah.
I don't need it. I definitely don't need it. It hasn't helped me in any way. It hasn't done a thing for me.
All fucking great answers, man. Another fucking stellar interview, man. I love chopping it up with you, man. Thanks for making the time, dude, man. I did for sure stay in touch. We're gonna do it again, man. As soon as anytime something is cooking in the enforced camp, or even when it's fucking not, I just like having you on here and chopping it up with you, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I always love talking to you. I always love your energy. I really appreciate getting on with you after like a really long day, and then it just being like, oh man, like I got to do an interview, and then you pop up, you're like, what's up, man?
Thanks, man.
Okay, Sharks, I'm back in it.
I appreciate the hell out of you, man. I love what you do, man. I tell everybody, man. I try to force feed enforced to people. So
don't shove it down their throats. They'll choke on it. But
I'm not gonna go Dave Grohl on them and fucking constantly be in their face, fucking saying that I know everything about music. But I mean,
no.
Yeah, I love what you do, though, man. I appreciate what you do, man. I'm a fan, dude, man, and I love having you on here, man.
Absolutely, brother. We'll talk soon.
Appreciate you, brother. Have a good one, my man. Thank you.
Take it easy.
Later, man. There he goes, folks. KNOX Colby, frontman for one of, if not the best fucking extreme metal bands out there right now, out of Richmond, Virginia. Enforced. And it is a great word to say. Enforced. It's like saying Slayer, or any of those great fucking, Obituary, Terrible Court. Enforced is right up there, man. That is KNOX Colby, a fucking front man that I absolutely fucking love, out there doing his thing in a band that I love. Their last full-length album was 2023's War Remains, which is a fucking slab of a fucking masterpiece, man. A fucking face melter, a banger, whatever you want to fucking call it, dude. Rexx Ruger approved to the fucking umpteenth fucking power. And they have a new EP coming out at the end of this month, October 25th, if my notes serve me right. An EP coming out called A Leap into the Dark. Don't miss the boat on that. Don't miss the boat on anything that they've done, man. Kilgrid, they've got some amazing albums. Just do yourself a favor, open your fucking ears, listen to your boy Rexx Ruger, man, and go out and get your life filled with some Enforced. And you will come back and you will say, gratis, Rexx. Thank you for hipping me to this fucking amazingly heavy, fucking super talented group of fucking young guys that are flying the flag for extreme metal. I would almost go out on a limb and say this is going to be this generation's fucking Pantera. There, I fucking said it, okay? These guys really bring the heavy in a melodic fucking just fucking thick, you know, there's that word again, man. It's just the kind of heavy, man, that the world fucking needs and loves. It doesn't lose its sense of melody, man, but it is unmistakably heavy. And you will rejoice when you listen to Enforced. And that I have no fucking doubt. So thank you to KNOX Colby. Always love catching up with him. It's been a while, man, but a fun guy to chop it up with. A great sport, a great interview, man. Always brings great energy, man. Cannot thank him enough. And even the Freddie Mercury puppet got a little bit of love in that interview from KNOX. So thank you. You warmed my sidekick's heart. So on behalf of him, who usually just sits back there as a mouthful of teeth, which is basically all he can do. I mean, look at that mouth and look at those teeth. So there's very little else that the Freddie Mercury puppet can do, but he got a lot of love from KNOX. So we appreciate that over here in the Pod Scum camp, as he is, at the end of the day, my silent partner. So, you know, I'm always happy to see him get some love thrown his way. And big love goes from me to the Enforced guys, man, and KNOX. What they do is incredible, man. So go get some Enforced in your fucking life and do the right thing here, man. Open your heart, open your fucking ears, man. And if you're into the fucking heavy ass fucking shit, you will not be disappointed. Again, like and follow us on Facebook, like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to stay tapped into the best conversations anywhere on the fucking planet, man. This is where all the cool kids come to chop it up with your boy, Reckless Rexx Ruger, a.k.a. Diamond David Lee Roth Jr. You know it. I know it. The world fucking knows it. So, as I always say when I end these things, remember, take it easy and keep it sleazy.